雰囲気しようか。To promote price growth for all, the producers seeking to steer a market share from the rival will develop cost-producing innovation, which will be copied by others, and which in turn will be lower price for all. Farmers rush to adapt higher yielding variety of corn or mixed species. Cattlemen rush to adapt faster growing breeds of cattle. And long-distance truckers rush to install fuel-saving airfoil on the top of the crop. In each case, the early adopter enjoys lower costs than their rival and hence reap higher profit. But as superior methods spread, increasing supplies drive prices down, causing profits to return to level the prevalent in other sectors. Those who enjoy benefit in the end are consumers who pay low prices. Writing more than 2 centuries ago, Adam Smith introduced his concept of the invisible hand, which went on to become one of the most celebrated and influential ideas of our time. His idea was an individual seeking to promote only their own interests in the marketplace would be driven, as if by an invisible hand, to promote the greatest good for all. Thus producers seeking to steal market share from their rivals would develop cost-reducing innovations, which would be copied by others, and which in turn would lead to lower prices of all. Farmers rush to adopt higher-yielding varieties of corn or mixed species. Cattlemen rush to adopt fast-growing breeds of cattle, and long-distance truckers rush to install fuel-saving airfoil on top of the crop. In each case, the early adopter enjoyed lower costs than their rivals, and hence reaped higher profits. But as the superior method spread, increasing supplies drive prices down, causing profits in return favor the prevalent in other sectors. Those who enjoy benefits in the end are consumers who pay lower prices. Number 7. Writing more than 2 centuries ago, Adam Smith introduced his concept of the indivisible hand, which went on to become one of the most celebrated and influential ideas of our time. His idea was that individuals seeking to promote only their own interests in the marketplace would be driven, as if by an invisible hand, to promote the greatest good for all. Thus producers seeking to steal market share from the rivals or develop cost-reducing innovations which will be copied by others, and which in turn will lead to lower prices for all. Farmers rush to adopt higher-yielding variety of corn or mixed species. Cattlemen rush to adopt farm-grown breeds of cattle, and long-distance truckers rush to install fuel on top of the crop. In each case, they are only doctors at lower costs than their rivals and has repair profits. But as the superior method spread, increasing supplies drive prices down, causing profit to return to levels that prevalent in other sectors. Those who enjoy benefits in the end are consumers who pay lower prices. Writing more than 2 centuries ago, Adam Smith introduced his concept of an indivisible hand, which later became one of the most celebrated and influential ideas of our time. His idea was an individual seeking to promote only their own interests on the marketplace would be driven, as if by individual hand, to promote the greatest good for all. The producers seeking to steal a market share were liable to develop cost reducing which copy by others, and which in time would lead to low prices for all. However, Russia developed higher yielding variety of corns of mixed species. Cattlemen thus adapted farms of growing breeds of cattle. A long distance trucker Russia installed fuel saving air for one double the crop. In each case, the early adopter enjoyed lower costs than their rival and hence reaped higher profits. But other superior methods spread, increasing supplies drive prices down, causing profit to return to level to private other sectors. Those who enjoy benefits in the end are the consumers who pay lower prices. Invisible hand, which ended up becoming one of the most celebrated influential ideas of our time. His idea was that individuals seeking to promote only their own interests in the marketplace would be driven, as if by individual hand, to promote the greatest good for all. Thus producers seeking to steal a market share from their rivals would develop cost-reducing innovations, which would be copied by others, and which in time would be read for all. Farmers rushed to adopt higher-yielding variety of corn or mixed species. Cattlemen rushed to adopt the faster-growing breeds of cattle, and long-distance truckers rushed to install fuel-saving air for multiple cars. In each case, the early adapters enjoy lower costs than their rivals and hence reap higher profits. But as the superior method spread, increasing supplies drive prices down, causing profits to return to the level that prevailed in other sectors. Those who enjoy benefits in the end are the consumers who pay lower prices. Number 7. Writing more than 2 centuries ago, Adam Smith introduced his concept of the individual hand, which later became one of the most celebrated and influential ideas of all time. His idea was that individuals seeking to promote only their own interests in the marketplace would be driven, as if by an invisible hand, to promote the greatest good for all. Thus producers seeking to steal market share from their rivals or develop the cost-based innovation, which will be copied by others, and which in time will lead to low prices for all. Farmers must adopt higher-yielding varieties of corn of mixed species. Cattlemen must adopt faster-growing breeds of cattle, and long-distance truckers must install fuel-saving efforts on the top of the curve. In each case, the early adopters enjoy costs than their rivals and hence reap higher profits. But as the superior method spread, increasing supplies driving prices down, causing profits to return to level the prevalent in all sectors. Those who enjoy benefits in the end are consumers who pay lower prices. Writing more than 2 centuries ago, writing more than 2 centuries ago, Adam Smith introduced his concept of the invisible hand, which went which went on to become one to the day. Went on to one of the most celebrated and influential ideas of all time. The idea was the idea was that individuals seeking to promote only their own interests in the marketplace would be driven as if by an invisible hand to promote the greatest good for all. Thus, producers seeking to steal a market share from their rivals would develop cost-reducing innovations, which will be copied by others, and which in time would lead to low prices for all. Farmer rush to adapt to higher yielding varieties of corn of mixed species. Cattlemen rush to adapt faster growing breeds of cattle. And long-distance truckers rush to install fuel-saving air water on the top of their cabs. In each in each case, the early adopter enjoyed lower costs than their rival. The early adopter enjoyed lower costs. Okay. And hence leave their leave higher profits. But as superior methods spread, increasing price drive price down, and causing good profit to return to rival. That prevail in other sectors. Vision those who enjoy benefits in the end are the consumer who pay lower prices.